Hello and welcome to this lecture. In the previous lecture, you learned about driver and executors, how driver interacts and assign tasks to executors. In this lecture, you will understand how driver process is invoked by applications. So applications can be written in different languages. It could have been written in Python or some other language, and how those applications can invoke Spark driver, basically how those applications could interact with Spark driver and invoke a Spark session. Let's understand what language Spark is written in. So Spark is written in something called Scala. It is a Java based language. When it comes to Java, you understand that Java is an object oriented program, and if I have to explain you what happens within Scala, what happens within the driver, I can explain you in the context of object oriented programming. So in the object oriented programming, the program itself is written in something called class, and when you call that class, you create an object out of that class. You instantiate the class, and that's called object. Once you create the object, then you start using the different features of that class. If I relate it with what is Spark driver, then Spark driver is basically this class, this main program written in Scala language, and this is the main program of that class. Right? Spark session is basically object created on that class. So every time you create a Spark session, it is like you are creating different object of that class. So each Spark session is a different object of the same class, but it is doing different functions. So once you create a Spark session, you can start navigating with Spark driver, and Spark driver can start executing the task assigned to you it through Spark session. So going back to the same diagram, same pictorial representations of Spark driver and executor. So this is what happens. If I have a program written in Python code, I will invoke a Spark session which is happening within the Spark driver, and the moment I invoke a Spark session, Spark driver gets the instructions what it needs to do, and then it start assigning the task to executors. So Spark session is basically, you can treat it as a way, as a API to interact with Spark. So you can have application written in Python code or Java or SQL or R, and Spark has API written for this specific language. If you are writing a Python code, there is a Spark API available by which you can invoke a Spark session. There is a specific Spark API available for Java, for SQL, and for R. So this is how, when you write application in any of this programming language, you can call Spark session and you can start interacting with Spark driver. You will see this hands-on when we start working on Python data frame. Most of the hands-on projects you will do in this course will be in Python and SQL on a single node, local mode Spark operation. Okay, I will see you in next lecture.